Welcome to Things You Don't Know. Today, we're going to talk about time. Sometimes an hour passes before we notice it. At other times, 5 minutes feels much longer than it should. The clock is moving at the same rate, but our experience of time changes. Chandler, what do you think causes that difference?
Dr. Weaver, a major reason is attention. When we pay close attention to time itself, it usually feels slower. Waiting for medical appointment, sitting through a delay, or watching the final minute of a close game can make every second noticeable. When our attention is absorbed by something else, time often seems to pass rather quickly, doesn't it?
Yes, psychologists sometimes distinguish between prospective and retrospective time. Prospective time is what we experience while an event is happening. Suppose someone tells you to wait 10 minutes without checking your phone. You are likely to monitor the passing time, which makes the interval feel longer.
Retrospective time is how long an event seems when we look back on it. A busy day may seem fast while we're living through it because we're occupied. Later, however, it may seem long because it contains many different memories. A dull day may drag while it's happening, but seem very short afterward because very little happened.
Yeah, that difference explains a common contradiction. A vacation can pass quickly while we are on it, but seems substantial when we remember it. A repetitive week at home may feel slow each day, but seem almost empty when we look back.
Yeah, that's right. And the brain does not have just one simple clock that records every second. It estimates duration by using attention, memory, emotion, bodily signals, and changes in the environment. Our sense of time is constructed rather than directly measured.
That's right. Attention is one of the strongest influences. When we are bored, uncomfortable, or forced to wait, we have fewer competing demands. We notice the passage of time. We may check the clock repeatedly, and each check keeps time at the center of awareness.
And that is why a watched clock can seem slow. The clock isn't changing, but we are collecting more information about each moment. I think that's a pretty cool concept. And by contrast, when we are concentrating on a conversation, a project, a book, or a game, then we devote fewer mental resources to tracking the time.
This becomes especially clear in what psychologists call a flow state. Now, flow can happen when a person becomes deeply involved in an activity that is challenging but manageable. Attention becomes focused, distractions decrease, and self consciousness may fade. People often finish the activity and realize that much more time has passed than they expected.
Now, flow is not limited to enjoyable hobbies. It can happen while repairing something, writing, organizing records, practicing music, cooking, or solving a difficult problem. The important point here is sustained engagement. The person is not constantly asking how much longer the activity is going to last.
Boredom does the opposite. Boredom is not simply having nothing to do, it involves wanting stimulation but being unable to become meaningfully engaged. That creates an uncomfortable awareness of the present moment. Time seems slow because there is little to occupy our attention and because we want the situation to just end.
Now, emotion also changes time perception. Fear and anxiety can make brief events feel so much longer. During a frightening incident, the brain becomes highly alert. It takes in details, it monitors threats, and prepares the body to respond accordingly. Later, the event may seem to have lasted longer than it really did.
Yeah, people sometimes describe an accident or dangerous moment as happening in slow motion. The brain probably does not begin processing the outside world like a high speed camera. A better explanation is that intense attention and strong memory formation produce a detailed record of the event. When recalled, the event feels extended.
Anxiety can also slow time when nothing dramatic is happening. Waiting for test results, expecting an important telephone call, or worrying about bad news can make a day feel unusually long. The mind keeps returning to the same concern, and the future moment seems difficult to reach.
Positive anticipation can do something similar. A child waiting for a birthday or an adult waiting for a long planned trip may feel that the date is approaching slowly. Once again, attention is directed toward the passage of time.
Pleasant experiences often feel fast, sometimes too fast while they're happening. Socializing with people we enjoy, visiting a new place, or participating in an interesting event can reduce time monitoring. Enjoyment alone is not the complete explanation. Engagement, attention, and novelty are usually involved as well.
Yeah, novelty becomes especially important when we look backward. New experiences create more distinctive memories. The first week at a new job may later seem longer than an ordinary week several months later. The first days of a trip can seem full because the brain records unfamiliar places, people, and routines.
Repetition creates fewer landmarks. When days follow the same schedule, the brain stores less information that clearly separates one day from another. Looking back, several weeks may seem compressed. That is one reason adults often say that months and years pass faster than they once did.
Age is frequently discussed in this context. A year represents a larger portion of time of a 10-year-old than that of a 60 or 70 or 80-year-old. But proportion alone probably does not explain the effect. Children also encounter more new experiences. Adults often live with more repetition, establish routines, and fewer major firsts.
School years are divided by new teachers, grades, sports seasons, holidays, and developmental changes. Adult years may contain the same commute, similar work, and familiar responsibilities. The calendar still changes, but memory may contain fewer distinctive markers.
Yeah, this does not mean time must keep accelerating with age. Adults can make periods feel fuller in memory by introducing meaningful variation, learning a skill, visiting a different place, changing a routine, meeting new people, or paying closer attention to ordinary experiences.
Memory matters because remembered duration is not based only on how long something lasted. It is also based on how much seems to have happened. A weekend with several different activities may feel longer in retrospect than a weekend spent doing the same thing for 2 days.
Yeah, the number of transitions also matters. Moving between locations, tasks, or social settings gives the brain boundaries. Those boundaries help divide memory into separate episodes. Without them, hours and days can sort of blend together.
Modern technology adds another complication. Short videos, social media feeds, games, and constant notifications can hold attention and make an hour just disappear. And these systems provide rapid changes and repeated rewards, so the user may not notice time passing.
Yet, afterward, that hour may not feel rich or memorable. Many items were viewed, but they may have been similar and quickly forgotten. This creates another mismatch. Time felt fast during the activity, but seems thin when recalled.
Now, multitasking can produce a related effect. Rapidly switching between messages, work, news, and entertainment creates the feeling of being busy. Frequent switching, however, can weaken concentration and memory. At the end of the day, a person may feel exhausted without having a clear sense of where the time went.
Yeah, physical condition also influences timing. Lack of sleep can disrupt attention and make it harder to judge duration accurately. High stress can create another rushed feeling or dragged feeling, depending on whether the person is overloaded, waiting, or focusing on a threat.
Now, some people experience time pressure more than time itself. When several tasks must be completed, the day seems to move too quickly because attention is directed toward deadlines and unfinished work. The person is not necessarily thinking, this hour is short. The person is thinking, oh, I don't have enough hours in a day to do all this.
Yeah, that difference matters. Time perception is partly about duration and partly about demand. An empty afternoon may feel long. The same afternoon filled with obligations may feel too short.
Social situations affect this too. An uncomfortable conversation can feel extended because we monitor ourselves and wait for it to end. A good conversation often feels brief because attention stays with the other person and the subject.
Pain is another strong influence. Physical discomfort pulls attention toward the body. A painful procedure that lasts only a few minutes may feel much longer. Chronic pain can also change the structure of a day because attention repeatedly turns to symptoms.
Depression can make time feel slow for some people, while periods of excitement or unusual elevated activity can make you feel accelerated. These experiences vary, and they can become clinically important when changes in time perception appear, along with other serious symptoms.
There are practical ways to influence the experience of time, although we cannot control it completely. To make an unpleasant wait feel shorter, occupy your attention with a specific task, reading, listening to something, solving a puzzle, or having a conversation is usually more effective than repeatedly checking the time.
To make weeks and months feel less compressed in memory, create distinct events. They don't have to be expensive or dramatic. A new walking route, planned meal, museum visit, class, or regular meeting can create useful memory markers.
Paying attention also helps. Taking a photograph can preserve a record, but taking hundreds of nearly identical photographs may not strengthen memory. It may be more effective to pause, notice specific details, and later describe what happened.
Keeping a brief journal or a calendar can make the month feel more substantial when it's reviewed. The goal is not to document every minute, but to preserve changes, decisions, conversations, and events that would otherwise blend together.
For tasks that drag, divide the time into smaller units. 20 minutes of focused work, followed by a brief break, can feel more manageable than facing an undefined period. Clear boundaries Reduce the sense that the task has no end.
For activities that consume time too quickly, set an external limit before starting. A timer can interrupt an absorbent activity when our internal time judgment becomes unreliable. That can be useful with social media, games, online shopping, or even work.
Yeah, routine is not bad. It produces stability and reduces unnecessary decisions. The problem is that highly repetitive periods can become difficult to distinguish in memory. A useful approach is to keep the routines that support daily life while adding occasional variations.
Our sense of time is not simply a defective clock, it is a flexible system that reflects what the brain considers important. Attention can stretch the present, engagement can compress it, emotion can intensify it, memory determines how large a period seems after it's over.
The clock measures duration consistently. Human experience does not. When time flags or drags, the difference usually comes from what we are attending to, how we feel, how much is happening, and how the brain stores the event.
Understanding that does not slow the calendar, but it can help us design our days more deliberately and recognize why the same 60 minutes can feel completely different.
Yes, indeed. We could go on, but I think that's a good summary of this.
I think
Thanks.
so, Dr. Weaver.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you'll join us again real soon.
Make sure to leave a like, comment, and come back. Bye for now, folks.